Can you?
Hmm?
I'm hoping this thing's actually broadcasting tonight.
Let's see. Oh, I got my phone. Hold on. Don't worry about that.
Okay. Somebody's act. Whoop. Somebody's actually going to help and check.
Okay, I can hear you.
That. Yeah, my son just called. Uh, do you have Buddy's phone number?
Yeah.
Can you handle the live stream for a minute, or text Buddy and let him know I'll call him back in 20 minutes?
Okay, I'll do that.
Text Buddy and let him know I'll call back in 20
I'll
minutes. My
send a
apologies.
messenger.
That. Okay, I got comments. I got a live stream. We're good. That. Actually, only going to do this for about a half an hour tonight. That. Our faucet. That it died. It sprung a leak. So we had to run over to Home Depot and buy a new one, which is why I didn't make it to the park today. But that's actually been kind of typical of pretty much everything's been going on since we've been back. Uh, we've just been kind of crazy busy with everything going on, with getting caught up, getting organized, getting stuff built. uh, and uh, getting stuff for Pumpkin. We've just been inundated. And unfortunately, the channel has taken the hit. It kind of got low priority for a while after things started going fast and furious. That about a month ago, we did manage to record one Chica Chica, but when I went to download it, I couldn't find any cables for the card reader, for the drives, for, yeah, I couldn't find anything. So I had no way to get it off of the GoPro onto the computer to edit it and post it. We started trying to do some live streams when we first got back. That they were kind of cool, a little bit of fun, but they just it was really hard trying to get timing right to do them. And it's still kind of a challenge to get timing to do this stuff too, because like I say, every time something every time we do try to say we're going to do it, something happens, and it's life is typical. But this is our new office, and yesterday and part of this morning we spent digging this trench. The ground out here is rock stinking hard, which is part of the reason why we were able to put it on pavers versus having to do a concrete pad. That's good and bad. So, but come on in, check it out. This is where everything's gonna happen. While he was digging the trench, that I put in the outlets where they're gonna go. There's gonna be 6 duplex outlets in here. We're gonna have some ceiling lights over the desks. The outlines of the desk, that is gonna be my desk. That's gonna be her desk. We have some bookshelves that will go there. That is going to be a legal size filing cabinet and a refrigerator on top. That's going to be a water cooler. And this outline is a couch that we have that's going to go in here. And I threw those on the floor more or less just to help with kind of envisioning where outlets and such needed to go. We're going to put a ceiling light right above each of the desks. Probably going to put 2 in this one. And the switches are going to be right. Let me get this off. Let me get that closed. There we go. The switches are going to be right next to the door. We found a nice heat pump split unit that's actually 110. It's a 30 amp 110 circuit. And so we're going to put that in. We've got the load center, the sub panel load center in here already. Got some Romex to do basic wiring. You haven't been in something like this during a Arizona summer. That's why the AC unit. It's a 12,000 BTU AC unit. So it should be good enough to keep that cooled and warmed. Oh yeah. We have an 8-foot loft that Cindy can stand upright up there. I almost can. In between the rafters, I actually can stand upright. We got a guy coming over tomorrow night. Hey Daniel, how you doing? Nah, Andy, the torture chamber, that's in the garage. You know, that one kind of a little bit easier access. This one I'd have to drag the body out back. We got a gentleman we know that he is a carpenter drywall, and so he's going to come over and give us an estimate on doing the drywall. The walls I could do. The flat ceiling here I could do. To try and do this arched roof like this, yeah, that's beyond something I'm willing to try and tackle myself. These walls are like 7'8". They're not quite 8 foot. And so we're probably going to have them extend the drywall up just a little bit and put LED lights, those LED strip lights, in behind it to provide accent lighting. The other thing that we're going to have him do and find out whether or not how much he would charge versus us doing it. Yeah, that probably wasn't good. When we originally bought this, we were told that area was going to be able to be used for storage. Well, when they built it, they said, no, you can't. There's nothing under it. There's just a piece of plywood out on the bottom of that. And so, yeah, you can't put anything over there. We can get some 12-foot 2x6s and put up there and deck it just like this without too much of an issue. And so we'll probably see how much he wants to put that in before he drywalls, or a friend of mine and I could probably get up there and do it without too much of a problem. Yeah, I thought that was kind of dumb too, and I need to call the guy the salesperson that we bought the shed from, and have a discussion with him tomorrow about that, because we talked with him about using that as storage. And he said that, yeah, that you can, that there's not a problem with that. But I've already strung conduit from here back to the panel, and I haven't blown in a line yet until we get this line ran in. Right now, the wire for that is by the time you get the four wires, 50 a foot. So instead of just counting, giving an estimate, I'm actually going to blow in a line to do this with. That ballpark estimates just aren't cutting it at this point. Uh, yeah, the other reason I can't do the drywall on the roof is I only have 8-foot step ladders. I don't have a 12-foot ladder to reach up to that peak. That one, yeah, that's our that we've been running that pretty much since we got back. Eventually, over here, this dirt area, and this is probably not going to happen until next spring. We're going to put artificial turf in there. We're going to sand the bottom, put sand in the bottom for backing, and then artificial turf. Which one's huge? The back. I think it's a.
Your signal's on and off. I think it's back.
Really? The AC for out here in Arizona. That the last house I lived in, I had a 5-ton AC in there. That this I believe is a 3-ton. Uh, the, yeah, Cindy was asking about putting one of her other Filipina friends made comment about, why don't you put real grass in there? And I had her talk with another Filipina friend of hers that they do have it, and that's their biggest complaint is there's so much maintenance to that. Arizona, right there is the best kind of grass, rock, which was actually a selling point for me for this house. That you'll have to excuse me, I'm running around the front. We may need to get a cable internet here. That unfortunately fiber is not in this area, so I'm dealing with an old dual DSL line, and I'm only averaging about 30 meg or 30 gig upload speeds, and it I don't know. It may not. It may be enough. I don't know how good the signal is going to be out that far. We did get a mesh system to try and use. There we go. Yeah, this is where I was instead of going to the park. As we went down to Home Depot and grabbed some landscape lighting and a new faucet for the kitchen because the one that's in there finally died. Yes, the MG is getting resurrected. Oop. The heads were pulled because it was a blown gasket. And it was at that stage that I met Cindy, and this one I'm taking a back seat for about 6 years now. When I finally got back to it, the head was pretty, had some pretty heavy surface rust on it. It wasn't too bad And so I took some emery cloth and have just been slowly sanding it, carefully sanding off all the rust. And I basically got it about ready to where I can start reassembling it. Uh, a lot of that video of the restoration of this is going to go on our Phil's to Phoenix Motovlog channel. And I of the restoration process, what we go through. I've got a friend that does painting, that he does auto body and painting, and I'm going to see what it's take for him to go through and paint it. Uh, the next thing we're going to do with this is put the head back on, not even mess with carbs or anything else, and just start doing some compression testing and make sure there's no major damage. If there's no major damage, we're probably going to pull the engine and tranny, and of it, we'll run it up to the. But again, we started this, and Cindy was looking for the work and decided to do a home job, so we decided to do the home. Joe, there's actually been something to do YouTube. That there's been a 350, there's been a Hayabusa, there's been a Ford 302 in there. You'd be amazed at what the people have done. It's a unibody car, so it's frameless, and what you wind up doing is basically a stock car type situation where you build a frame that fits, put the engine and drivetrain on the frame, and then put the tin on the frame. There's not much left of original car on that one at that point. But it can be done. The Hayabusa, you even needed to do the frame to it because there's just way too much torque in that when the engine starts revving over like that. Yeah, the V8s would twist this thing up like a freaking beer can. Uh, it's fairly light gauge metal as it is. I call it the original white guy lowrider, but yeah, because there's only about 3 inches of ground clearance on these things. That they are a fun little car to drive. Uh, have you ever driven one of the MG midgets? This is a midget, not the B. The midget was significantly smaller than the B even, and it sat about an inch and a half lower than the B did, and its center of gravity was a little bit lower than the B. These things will turn a corner at 40 and not even think twice about it. The weak point in maneuvering on this thing is the tires easily. Similar. Matter of fact, the was that one of the 1500cc Spitfires? Because if it was, it's the same exact engine in here as is in the the 1500cc Spitfire. That these are it's a Triumph 1500cc engine. So if you did any kind of wrenching on that, you should be really familiar with this engine. They used a different. The head is a little bit different. I don't see it. The original intake. The original. There we go. That's not the original intake, but the original intake and exhaust were a little bit different than what was on the Triumph.
Is Rick around?
Hang on, guys. No, he's not. Why? What's up?
No, I just want to tell him about my little brother moving over from California.
Oh, very cool. He'll probably be around tomorrow. I'll let him know.
All right, tell him to stop by.
All right, guy. Enjoy. Yeah, one of our neighbors. That part of the reason why we moved into this neighborhood is there's no HOA. And uh, yeah, so you can see a lot of things that wouldn't fly in an HOA, a dumpster, work trucks parked on the street, another gearhead down the block that he has about 6 Fords at any given time he's working on. Oh, Daniel, what are you doing over there? I could use you here. That that drywall is something I haven't done, and I haven't done enough of to be comfortable with. I definitely could use a carpenter. Yeah, HOAs that they, at least HOAs in the U.S., that they have a, in my opinion, well-deserved reputation for something to stay away from at all costs. Now, electrical I can do that. That I actually is where I actually cut my teeth. And I worked as an electrician for a residential remodeling company back in New York for years when I first started.
Say hi. Hi. Show your tongue. Raspberry. Okay. We're gonna go back. Bye bye, sorry.
No worries. That plumbing I can do a little bit of. She is starting to get very talkative. Uh, the, she definitely found her outdoor voice. Here about a week ago, all she did, and it wasn't upset or pain or anything else. It was just because she could. She she screamed at the top of her lungs for an hour a day, and it was just like I say, it wasn't screams. It was just very very loud, high pitched, happy squeals. And unfortunately, I think she's going to wind up being. Yeah, instead of showing you guys the garage, I'll actually show you. Yeah, I'm not sure that that's any better view, but I have a feeling she is going to be one of these kids that happy, sad, scared, excited, whatever, has this ear piercing, glass shattering, uh, mega volume screech that they do. And it's going to be interesting. So, Andy, I heard you guys just elected uh, Bong Bong Duterte, or yeah, Bong Bong Duterte, Bong Bong Marcos. Your politics are going about as well as ours are. That I will do that in the morning. That I'll post a link in the description of this video when I go back and when I go back and do the descriptions on this one. That I Papa was a young adult. He was in his 20s when Ferdinand and Imelda Marcos were in power, and they have a very different view of Marcos, the Marcoses than I've ever been taught or understood. And I'm finding a lot of Filipinos have a very different view of Marcos. And so, I don't know. Uh, I know it's nothing even close to what we're 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 taught here. So And they liked him well enough. They elected his son to Congress, so it couldn't have been that bad. Uh, it's going to be kind of interesting over there. Hopefully, he'll start opening. He'll be able to start opening the Philippines again and keep it going in that direction. That because I've heard some pretty strong talk that they're talking about doing granular lockdowns after the elections. So hopefully, hopefully, that this is gonna, that having someone like that that's more conservative and is more business oriented will continue the opening process and not continue down the path that they are. If the if the Philippines locks down again, even small scale, I don't think their tourism will ever recover. That it Too many people have a very nervous view of the Philippines to start with at this point. That there's been several people I've talked with that have put off or even discluded plans of going to the Philippines anymore. One dive shop I know has made comment that they won't go back for several years because of it. Uh, I can see that. I can see China taking advantage of it if it happens. Uh, that Did Lumpia Life ever get a 13A, or is he still doing the Balikbayan when he goes? Because that's going to make a huge difference on whether or not and how long it'll be before he gets back. Yeah, we even kind of joked around about going up to Canada to visit Daniel. Hey, Michael and Heidi, how you doing today? I'm going to go see if someone's still awake.
Trying.
Can I say hi?
Hi.
Buddy's night time. It's 7 o'clock here. That We try to get her to bed about 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And it sometimes takes her a little bit to wind down. She gets very excited about a lot of things.
She got excited to see Papa too. That's one thing.
Yeah, normally when Cindy's
Oh,
trying to put her
see?
to bed,
See?
the, I take off just because of that.
Did you see that?
Say, but Mama, I have such a cute smile.
I know she does.
But I'll go out back and let you guys get to sleep.
Okay.
Let me know when she's asleep.
Okay. We'll see.
So, we're going to take the show on the road. We're going to head out back. I think she is just absolutely adorable. There we go. My friend. Miguel's over here. That the last time I bought San Miguel here in Phoenix, it was like $3 a bottle. Red Horse was just same price. We're gonna see if I can get this to set stable. Hey, it's setting. What's funny? The sign language sign for Mountain Dew is going back to the old hillbilly with the bullet hole in his hat. Uh, that most kids don't have a clue where that sign comes from. Most young deaf people have no clue where the sign comes from because it's I don't think the hillbilly's been associated with Mountain Dew for a long time. I can't say that I'm not, but I do go periodically a couple days without one, but not terribly often. And here in the States, they use that high fructose corn syrup instead of natural sugar, and it definitely gives a different flavor to the Mountain Dew. Uh, I actually prefer the Philippine Mountain Dew, expensive here. You used to be able to buy a real sugar version of Mountain Dew here in the U.S. Uh, Mountain Dew, Pepsi, and a couple of the others did a throwback version. They used real sugar and supposedly used the actual old, use the old recipes, supposed old recipes. And I've been drinking Mountain Dew forever, and what they did didn't taste like anything even close to what I remember Mountain Dew tasting like. So, and it definitely did not taste like anything that I'd get in Mexico or Philippines that still use natural sugar. So, I don't know. Because that's the other bad part. In the 2 months I've been here, I put on 13 pounds. 217. I've got the Moza Mini S. Andy's the one that tipped me off to this one. That I had a Giant Smooth Q, and it was an amazing gimbal. I liked it a lot. The only reason I went over to the Mini S is simply because it was smaller and more compact. That's what I'm using right now. Oh, you did have the Moza Mini S, Andy? I thought you had just the Mini. The sole difference between the Mini and Mini S is the Mini S has a very short uh, selfie stick to it, and there are times when that does come in handy. But other than that, the Moza Mini and Mini S are the same gimbal. Uh, they both do amazing job for what they do. Uh, you can actually use it through an app and control the camera off of the gimbal. You can control telephoto, start, stop, all 9 yards with it, and it's actually pretty cool. The app wouldn't work with what I do though, so I just never bothered messing with it. Uh, you can record video through the app. You can only record in 720 or something like that. Through the app, you can't record very high on it. Uh, yeah, because that's the one thing that I didn't get with this. I kind of would like to, but there again, right now, I'm resting it on its. I wish I could take the phone off, but I'm resting the gimbal on the table. Yeah, the Mini S was only about $65, $75, and it was slightly more expensive, but not significantly. Uh, I like it because it's way more compact than the Jiayung Smooth Q was. Uh, Matter of fact, I left the smooth Q in the Philippines. That I didn't even bring that back. That when we moved there, we like buy unboxed like 4 boxes, and then wound up having to figure out how to get some of the stuff and make some hard choices on what we wanted to bring back. Both of our BCDs for scuba diving got left there. Uh, we did bring back our regulators and dive computers. All of our wetsuits got left there. Most of the electronics came, some stayed. The mic and preamp and all that, they got left. I got them here. That there was just no sense in bringing it back. Uh, what were some of the other things? We accidentally left our mesh system there. We intended on bringing that one. Actually, there are a lot of divers here, and there's a lake right nearby here called Lake Pleasant. Not fantastic diving, but it is pretty good. It's cold water diving. It's 50, 55 degrees during the winter. It's 65, 70 during the summer. It's colder diving, but it's great for skills. Visibility sucks. That there are days where you've got visibility that ends at your face mask. Uh, there is another dive park in Lake Mojave out on the Colorado that is a little bit better visibility. There's no dive shops near it, and they actually do have a dive park there that they've uh, a school bus, a Cessna, I think a backhoe. That there's another object that they've submerged just to give divers something fun to play with. And again, it makes great skills. I know one dive shop here that the Cessna school bus you can access inside. It's open enough that it's still considered open water diving. It's not considered wreck diving. But it has everything that wreck diving would have, so that they use it. There's at least one scuba shop here that will go out to Lake Mojave and give you at the dive park and give you your wreck diving course. That we haven't decided whether or not we're going to try and replace some of the gear here or not. Uh, in the last couple of years, we haven't dove hardly at all. Since Cindy got our certification, uh, we started out diving a little bit. We dove about once a month, went out to Lake Pleasant and dove. And since she got the last couple of years with everything going on, all the false starts with her going through schooling, we just haven't had time. And so we're debating on whether or not we're going to have the time, and probably not this year, but hopefully later this year, early next, we'll be able to go diving. Uh, that it's something I very much enjoyed. Wasn't able to get hooked into the dive community terribly well while we were there in the Philippines. I did get a few dives in. I did one video of the dives that we went on. And it had been so long since I dove that I just really rusty and really uncomfortable. And it took me a couple dives just to get comfortable again. That tomorrow night there's not going to be anything. Thursday, I had intended on trying to do a live stream from the office. I may do the Thursday this Thursday, and a lot of this is just going to have to be catch as catch can. Uh, I was hoping to have one or two in backup. It's not doing it. It's not happening at this point. Friday, I would like to get a video posted so that I'm in Arizona time. Uh, Monday night, I post a Chica Chica. Tuesday night, I'll do the Tuesday and Thursday night. I'll do the live stream, one from the office and one walking, and then Friday we're gonna start doing videos, and Friday videos are going to be more relationship themed. That the original focus for Phil's to Phoenix, I've got 7:15 currently, 7:15 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Okay, so yeah, we are on the same time then. Arizona stays Mountain Standard Time year round. Uh, Although there was talk recently of the U.S. abandoning daylight savings time and going to daylight savings time permanent. So I don't know whether or not they're actually going to do that. I guess it was enough vote to pass it, but I don't know if they're actually going to stick with it. Uh, which I find some irony in because a couple years ago, Florida passed a law that they wanted to be daylight savings time permanent. They wanted to be Eastern daylight savings time permanent, and Congress said that they wouldn't allow them to do that because some treaty, something somewhere said that if you chose a permanent time zone, you had to choose the standard time zone permanent. And then here, a couple years later, the Congress goes back and says, we're just going to adopt daylight savings permanent for the entire country. So I think that may be coming back to bite him a little bit too. I, especially in Arizona, there is no sense whatsoever in this daylight savings time. That if anything, you kind of wish it would get dark quicker. uh, which I think is part of the reason why Arizona never did adopt daylight savings time. Yeah, it's definitely getting a little scary with everything going on in the world right now. Uh, Mama and Papa, we've got enough money in reserve that we've got Mama and Papa ticket. We haven't bought them yet, but we've got reserved funds, and Mama and Papa got or got bags packed that got to get out of Dodge bag packed that if things start getting too awful silly there, that we'll get them tickets here to the U.S. And once when they're in the U.S. legally, that they can apply for citizenship, green cards. Because Cindy is a U.S. citizen and they are her parents, they are in a non-quota uh, spot for green cards. That they're part of that chain migration that people talk about. Uh, so that they could potentially get a green card immediately, within a couple months of being on soil before they would have to leave for their return trip. That with and that's my biggest thing on watching what's going on over in the Ukraine right now with Russia and the Ukraine isn't so much what's going on between those two, but seeing how the world's reacting to it and whether or not China's going to have enough nerve to start invading Taiwan and some of the other countries that they want to. Uh, if things do flare up, that like I say, that we got Mama and Papa, ready to get tickets and get out of there. Don't want another World War II situation. That we'll get them out long before, hopefully long before it gets to that point. Uh, and right now, because there's so much American interest over there, I'm hoping that it won't go to that. If they come over permanent, yes, we will have to. If they come over uh, as visitors, no, we don't. So when they arrive, no, we won't. When they get here permanent, yes, we will have to. Uh, but at that point, because they're parents, senior citizen parents, I'm assuming Cindy could put them on her medical insurance policy. And bottom line, it's the U.S. that because of the current situations that they just go as oh no, just on visitor visa you don't need to here in the U.S. Uh, with Canada's socialized medicine, I'm kind of surprised they have to do that. That I kind of figured with the socialized medicine that you wouldn't need to do that. That because that well, they're visitors, so I don't know. Why couldn't you put Hey, why couldn't you put your wife on your health insurance? I could see not putting a like a spouse's parent or something like that. That well, and that's just it. Like I say, that the visitors, yeah, if they offered insurance to visitors and stuff like that, I could see them. Their U.S. is that you'll get these illegals crossed. That there's Tucson, I think, is the closest general hospital to the Mexican border, and there's only one or two down there. That yeah, something doesn't sound right about that, Joe. That especially working for a government entity like that, because with when I was working for the city, we had friggin' outstanding insurance. Uh, a co a live-in companion originally wasn't covered, and it was kind of hard towards the end, but they were able to be, even a common law. There we go, common law. Uh, we're covered. I almost put my father on my policy. That it Yeah, that it was actually pretty easy to do a lot of that stuff. I'm kind of surprised, Daniel. I'm kind of surprised it's hard. Canada's so hard to get a visitor visa for. I understood they were fairly easy to get country to get stuff for. Really? That's that's kind of unusual. I now didn't you make comment if you leave your country, if you leave Canada for too long, you lose your pension too? Because April was my 2 years. So there was some question whether or not April or October was going to be the 2 years because the claim was approved starting April, but it didn't start paying for 6 months, so it didn't start actually paying until October. And so nobody, even at Social Security, could give me a clear answer on which date they were going to use to start the Medicare. So I need to explore that one and uh, oh. Come on, say hi. Tim's retirement journey. Where's he coming from? I don't know the channel that terribly well. Uh yeah, because Medicare won't cover in the Philippines. The Medicare is totally useless in the Philippines. But if I don't subscribe to it now, if I want it in the future, I pay some huge penalties for not subscribing to it now. Uh, and Cindy knows of a couple that they got into some issues. Oh, okay. Uh, that the husband had the he had to come back for some medical procedures, and when he came back and went to subscribe to Medicare, that uh, that he had to pay some huge back penalties for it. So she's saying it might be worth subscribing to, even if we move back. That way, if we do have to come back to the U.S. for medical treatment or something like that, into life care or whatever, uh, it may be worth it in the end. That as much as what's going on, that there's still a lot of people going to the Philippines. So it's still a decent place to go. Uh, San Fernando, that's up by Manila, isn't it? I'm not familiar with San Fernando. Uh, but by the same token, I know of a fair amount of expats that are coming back just because of everything that's been going on and been going on for so stinking long. That they're coming back to their home country. Oh, okay, I know. Okay, and I know where I know the name from now. A Philly in the Philippines. No, Philly in the Philippines. Yeah, Philly in the Philippines or something like that. I think goes through there fairly frequently. That he's up in that general area, and we got a friend of ours that she's from Pampanga area. That she actually used to work at Clark Air Force Base back in the day. She was at Clark Air Force Base as one of the civilian employees somewhere during the Vietnam evacuation. He was actually one of the Filipinos that helped process some of a fair amount of the refugees coming through. Uh, It's my understanding from what her and another friend of mine were talking that she was one of the people that would kind of work as a government liaison between the U.S. and the Philippine government, helping the Vietnamese that weren't going to the U.S. find some place to live in the Philippines. And so she knew where a bunch of these Vietvilles were. I didn't realize there was more than one, but there was several Vietnamese refugee villages. That there's a few that are still they've still got Vietnamese that live there. Uh, Bud Brown made a video of one somewhere on Negros, but I guess there's a couple up on Luzon, up north of Pampanga. I can't remember the city that it's near. But it's up north of the base in that area. But anyways, uh, it was actually kind of a cool thing. Again, that a lot of these trips that I wanted to take, we just never were able to take because inter-island travel was so sticking hard. Just about the time it started to loosen up, and we tried to go to Manila, and that one wound up in a horror story quick. Uh, from shortly after I got there, that I had a standing order to go to Butuan because Butuan and Manila are the only two places where you can get an open MRI, and uh, the MRI from my back was old enough that the orthopedic guy, the down, and he said if I could get the correct permission, that he'd write out a medical necessity note to go down for it. But admitted that they may have a little bit of trouble getting it through because there are other options there in Cebu. And one of them is just buck up and deal with it. And their MRI for the back was going to take over an hour. Me just laying still for over an hour wasn't happening terribly well, let alone laying still in a coffin like that for over an hour. But and the other choice was sedation, and to be sedated, I had to have been vaccinated to get to be admitted to the hospital. So there wasn't a. So you will start seeing me much more regular. You will start seeing some more videos from us much more regular. We just got to get timing down to get editing because they're basically one and done and a fairly quick edit. Mainly find an endpoint, beginning and endpoint, and do whatever overlay video that I need. But Friday videos, like I say, we plan on doing some relationship videos. That's pretty sad, and this is U.S. Wi-Fi. Huh. That I had better Wi-Fi in the Philippines. Or better internet in the Philippines. That's not a joke. But we plan on starting to do some relationship videos. The first one we're going to do is our take on 500 days in the Philippines. And then the second one we're going to do is our first 6 days back.